All right, we are live. Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, please like and subscribe. And I want to extend the greetings of peace and love to everybody out there on this Monday Moon Day. And we have a very special guest this evening and topic. And tonight's topic is the Americas, the true old world history lessons. So we've been talking in the past a little bit about history, but tonight we're going to be exploring hidden history. There is a lot of confusion and misinformation out there about history, especially the history of the Americas and all the many contributions. So, knowledge of self is key to everything. And you cannot know thyself if you are unaware of who you are culturally, ethnically, and historically, and much more spiritually as well. Self identity is essential, and many people are in a state of identity crisis due to misinformation, misclassification, miseducation. So, to know who you are, you must go to the very beginning, your history. Do you know your history? Where did your ancestors come from? What impact did they make on history? What traditions do you carry on in their honor? All of these questions are fundamental, but many people in the modern world are clueless to their ancestors and their history. Tonight, I really want to talk about the many anomalies and out of place objects and timelines that leave many of us scratching our heads. When people make discoveries, which happen all the time, that debunk some of the narratives, the first thing they say is, oh, this rewrites history. So, tonight, we're going to explore some of these anomalies and these odd, out of place timelines and more with our beloved brother Jason. So, welcome, welcome. How are
Peace,
you this
peace.
evening?
I'm doing,
Good, good. Oh, your
yeah.
audio just went out.
It's out now?
I can hear you now. How are you this evening?
Okay. I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Good, good. So, can you tell the listening audience just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. My name is Jason. I have, you know, a nice social media platform that I create a bunch of content, most of it pertaining to self-awareness, knowing thyself,
Mhm.
um, our origins, and what the true old world of what North America really is. I do a lot of videos that have to do with what we know of Egypt and Turkey and places in Indonesia are all echoes of what was originally here, which has been wiped out, devastated, and now repurposed and called the New World. That's just always been a focus of my content. So that's just a little basic of what I do.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay.
Absolutely.
How did you get started on this journey exploring history, especially the hidden history?
I want to say the first thing that really got me opened up to history, I can remember there was a book that my mother had a long time ago. Time Life magazine had a hardcover book um, that talked about seven wonders of the world and a whole bunch of different things, the pyramids, and they had another book that was about psychic abilities and the energies of the ether. And from those two books, maybe in the mid early 80s, wasn't even 10. I just gravitated to them, really, really strong. I was always just addicted with those books to the point where I just bought them recently. I just found them maybe I think on Amazon like maybe 6 months ago, and I just bought them. My boys love them. They're really good books. But that was my first thing. Like I realized that someone just asked me that recently, and it was the first time I really realized I think that's my starting point right there in the mid 80s. It was those two books, and then early 90s I gravitated to books like I would say mid 90s I gravitated to books like Behold the Pale Horse by William Cooper and David Icke books. I can name probably his first 10 books I read. I haven't
Okay.
read any of his in the past few years, but I read all of them. I Am Me, I Am Free, Children of the Matrix, Alice in Wonderland and the World Trade Disaster. The Biggest Secret. Like I read all of them, so I was into
Okay.
stuff like that. And that's not even what my content is really about, but that was like my, that was just blowing the dust off of my higher self, waking
Mm-hmm.
me up to waking me up to other truths that we didn't learn, and these institutionalized buildings we get stuck in.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. You shared that it started in the 80s. I
Yeah, I was
think
born in
my
'79. I was born in
mhm,
'79. In '79.
okay, because my awakening started a little bit late in the 90s, but I just remember in the 80s, it's like I wasn't even aware of any books or anything that was outside the false matrix system. Like I wasn't exposed to any of that. It's kind of
Yeah,
like I felt like trapped in the dark ages, really.
and
And
then also with other movies too. Like we talk about the '80s, other movies I was really into was like Terminator
oh yeah,
and stuff like that. I was always into like man versus
science fiction.
machine. Not even really science fiction. It was more or less like just man versus machine. You could call it science fiction, yeah, but it
Mm-hmm.
was just more or less like man versus machine and who we really are in our hidden past. Like I
Mm,
was always into movies like that, like or
yeah.
books like that. It just always from day one. I fell out of that for a while too. I fell into just a whole bunch of stupidness doing hip hop music and just lost touch. Actually, when I did my hip hop music too, I still added some of this into it,
Mm-hmm.
but I also created a huge drug addiction at that time too that got me completely out of
Oh
this
no.
this type of information for a few years too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've
I'm
been into
glad
this
you
stuff.
recovered from that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's long and gone. That's another story. But I've always just been into stuff like this. It's always just
Mm-hmm.
I've gravitated to that more than anything, more than I don't really scroll looking at the average stuff that most people look at my age,
Mm-hmm.
my the stereotypical of someone like me.
Mm-hmm.
I've always liked the weird stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've
William,
always been
William
into.
William Cooper was a big one. William Cooper was a big one for me though.
Is that the author of Behold the Pale Horse?
Yeah, yeah. He
Okay.
was the author of Behold the Pale Horse. He had a radio show that was really good that I used to listen to religiously. I think it was called Of the Hour.
Mm.
And like he predicted 9/11 like 6 months before it happened, and he actually got assassinated right after it happened.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. I'm gonna have to look him up and see if there's something on
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
Okay.
Deputies came to serve him a warrant like in November of 2001, and it wasn't even a serving of a warrant. They came there to kill him.
It
Like
was an
there's a whole
assassination.
documentary. Yeah, definitely. But
Mm.
he opened my eyes to a lot of stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
a few other people. You know.
That's good. Now that I think about it, there was something that kind of was a spark in the at the end of the tunnel when I was growing up, but I didn't catch it until years later, and that was Star Wars. Then I'm listening to you talk. I love
Yeah,
Star Wars as a little
yeah.
girl, and I
It's a documentary.
yes, I agree. But when I
Yeah,
was growing up, nobody around me seemed to enjoy it as much as I did.
yeah.
And I almost growing up, I was fascinated with all the characters, all the different planets they went to, the technology, and years later when I was like in my 20s, I was binge watching it on cable one time, and I was actually this time I actually listened to what Yoda was saying, and I was like, this is like some deep metaphysical issue. Like, what they put this in Star
Yeah.
Wars? How did I miss it? But I guess because I was too young, it went over my head.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it was always something about it I just loved, and some about it resonated with me.
Because it's a documentary. It's something that you've been through in your life before. They literally flipped everything of who and what we were and put that into. So the Star Wars is it's a representation of the Electric Wars. I don't know if you ever heard of the Electric Wars. It has to do with like the Lyra and Sirius, the
Serious.
constellation. Yeah, all the star, and it has to do with this huge war that happened, and they flipped it into a big. It was a galactic war of Jedi's are. I consider us as Jedi's, like,
Mhm.
sentient, loving people, loving human beings. We're the Jedi, and the dark
Mhm.
force, the dark side is, the other side, it's the
Mhm.
machine. And even in Star Wars, they show it's the machine. I believe the AI is the main thing. AI is the head of everything. Like a lot of people like to say, reptiles, the serpent. They inverted. The serpent wasn't always evil. If you look at every other culture except like through North America shows you the serpent's evil. Every other culture shows you the serpent was something that
Mhm.
was revered, and it was something,
Yes.
it's a
Some healing.
kundalini energy that we have
Mhm.
within us. And they flip that. Everything is the AI, everything is the machine. And
Mhm.
they made it look like it's everybody else, but it's really us just against them. That's it.
Us against the
That's it.
AI.
Yeah, and Star Wars shows that. Every movie
Mhm.
shows that. The Matrix shows that. Terminator shows that. Like
This is true.
yeah, every huge
Yep.
movie that you could think of, it's always the man versus the machine. And
Mhm.
even if you're talking about like a snake bite, I don't want to say the V word, but the snake bite, um, that's even nanotechnology, which is the machine. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Everything is the machine. The Operation Stargate that Trump is talking about, all of that stuff,
The
Skynet.
Golden Dome.
Yeah, it's all everything that's Skynet, the Golden Dome, Skynet, the
Yes.
same thing that
Yes.
they talked about in Terminator. Like
Mhm.
everything connects and correlates with the last story, but you just have to be able to have the wherewithal to
Yes.
put the dots together and sift
Mhm.
through all the madness. They put a lot of poison with the medicine, a lot of medicine with the poison. You just got to be discerning of what is what.
Yes, and be able to discern. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
whole nother rabbit hole conversation. We talked about if we talk about AI and breaking down the messages and documentaries like The Matrix, and I didn't
yeah.
see parts two, three, and three. I only saw the first one, and I was like, oh my god, it's right here. And then the Terminator
You don't even need to
series,
see part two and three.
really,
Part
or The
one.
Matrix.
Well, the funny thing about the Matrix, do you know about the story of the Matrix or who wrote the Matrix?
I actually saw someone interview like a not a before they had podcasts, but something similar to that. There was an interview. It was just audio, and they
So
interviewed.
it's always been given credit to the Wachowski brothers. You ever
Hmm.
heard of the Wachowski brothers? And
Yes.
they were with, I think, Joel Silver or Joel Silverstein or something like that. But the Wachowski brothers were they're now women. They converted over to being women now, both of the brothers. But they put out an ad in the early '80s in the magazine. Do you remember, like in magazines, in the back of magazines, they would have ads for certain
Always.
things,
Yes.
and in the back of their magazine, whatever magazine that they put their ad in, they put an ad about ideas for comic book ideas. They were trying to do a sci-fi
Oh.
story, and a
Hmm.
woman, a melanated woman named Sophia Stewart.
Yes.
She had a manuscript titled "The Third Eye," and the third eye was she had it copywritten and everything. She just, I don't know if she ever got it published, or I don't know the specifics of why it never blew up, but she sent her idea of the third eye into the Wachowski brothers in their ad. She never heard back from them. This was in the, I think, late 80s.
Hmm.
And then she's at the movie theater 2000 2001 with her girlfriend watching The Matrix, and she's like, hold on, this is my movie right here. And she ended up going through a
Mm.
whole lawsuit with them.
Hmm.
She won the
Yeah, I
lawsuit
remember
like
the
years.
lawsuit. Yeah.
Yeah, she won it years later. But my point of saying all that was they stole her whole story because she wrote the Terminator and the Matrix. They're
And the
just two
Matrix.
stories. They're just two stories that go like this with each other. Like the Terminator goes from the future to the end, and the Matrix is going from then into the future. Like they just kind of intertwine, but going backwards with each other. So they didn't know where to go with part two and part three. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't their story. So when you watch
So
two and
part two
three,
and three was add-ons, not what she originally wrote.
yeah, I mean it was some of what she had, and they kind of ran with what she had in the first one and thought what she would have put, or what she would have created from that. But to me, if you know the story of it, and you see, I also got to see the third eye too. Like it was a really dope manuscript that she had. So if you see
Mhm.
that and then you see part one, you see two and three, and you're like, what the heck? Like this don't even go with it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't go with it at all, and it's
But
just
Terminator 1 and 2 were great, I thought. And
great. Yeah,
The
very
third
good.
one, I think I saw part three.
Third one I think was with the girl. It wasn't that great.
I think it kind of I lost interest after that, but the first and the second were great. I thought.
Yeah, it was like some girl that they were protecting in part three. It was kind of
Yes, yes, I think
the
that one.
acting was
I think there's
terrible.
actually been maybe a fourth or fifth
It
one.
might be five.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
lost interest
Yeah,
after number three, but yeah.
yeah, it's a conglomerate now. Like they lost
Hmm.
sense of what it was on purpose.
Right. I'm
But
sure.
everything, like those movies, all of my content, even to the point of, self-discovery and self-mastery, it's because of the machine. It's because of they're the ones who made us forget. They're the ones that have us as a species with amnesia.
Hmm.
They're the ones that pull the wool over our conscious third eye and never let us really understand or overstand what's going on, and we're blaming everything else except the machine.
And then also the misclassification and the constant identity crisis,
Yeah.
making you think that everything you need is outside of you.
Yeah. and
Yeah.
and and everything you need is outside of you, and these machines are making you chemically feel a certain way too. These machines that we
Mm,
first of all, you hold most people hold their phone like they're praying. Like if you how people hold their phone, if you take the phone out of their hands, it literally looks like praying hands. So you're praying to this machine all day that's,
mm,
vibrationally making you sick. It's sending all these signals and all these sounds that you can't hear, these high pitched sounds and all
mm.
these, lights that your eyes not picking up, flashing at you, these infrared lights. Like it's
Yeah, and some
making
people
us,
sleep with their phones next to
oh,
them under their pillow, which I never did that, but
not
I'm like,
even on the same floor. Not even on the same floor as me.
mm,
I leave it downstairs.
mm.
Yeah, I can't sleep with my phone in my room.
I put it in, well, I usually put it in the other room, but I'm gonna start doing that too. Yeah,
Yeah,
because it
there's
does
times
give
there's
off a frequency that some
yeah.
people not aware of it, but
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's have you ever seen that video where the girl shows they have an infrared camera and every like 5 seconds or so there's an infrared flash that comes out the back of like where your camera is on the other side of the
no, I
phone.
wasn't aware. I've seen in public people using their phone, and you'll see a light flat. I didn't know what that was. Okay.
Yeah, if you're in an all dark room and you have like a fluorescent light or an infrared light, you could see a flash come out of your phone like every 3 to 5 seconds.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that, but I'm glad you brought that to
Yeah.
my attention.
Hmm.
But the topic tonight about the true old world, what sparked my curiosity and learning more about the real American history or the history of the Americas is years ago, I think it must have been 2000, and I heard the term mounds and mound builders and native mounds for the first time, and I was like, "Well, what is native mounds?" And then I heard there were burial mounds around the country, right? So I was traveling on the road and with my ex and children, and we were leaving Texas on the way from Texas back to the DMV. We passed a place on the highway called Poverty Point Mound, and I said, "Well, what is Poverty Point Mound? What is that?" I said, "Let's check it out." And it was raining, but something drew me there, and we went. And I'm not sure if you're aware of Poverty Point, but Poverty Point is an
No.
ancient city. I found out later,
Where
and
state is that in?
it's in Louisiana, in northern
Louisiana. Okay.
Louisiana.
Okay. Is that where you are?
No, no, I'm in DMV area.
Oh yeah, yeah. You did
But we
tell me.
were
Okay.
driving from Texas
Got it.
and
Yep, yep.
coming through the northern part of Louisiana, and it's a series of mounds there, but there's one that's really large, and it's in the shape of a bird in flight. It almost looks like um
I've only
kind
seen
of like
pictures
some
of
of
it.
the images you see of Heru or something like that.
Yeah, I'm familiar where you're talking about. I've never been there. I've seen pictures of it.
Yes, then it has those concentric rings around it. So
Yeah.
went there, and I was like, this place is so amazing. And the visitor center was closed that day because it was under construction or renovation or something like that. But I just was so fascinated with that. And then I started
Were
reading
you
and
still
studying.
able to go on the? Were you still able to go onto the grounds?
Yes, yes, we climbed the
Okay.
mound and everything. But
Okay.
the bird mound shaped mound is covered in trees now, but you can still see the shape of it. But that started me investigating and learning more, because the whole time growing up, I read a lot of history books. I really liked history. I never heard anything about this. Never heard about ancient cities in the Americas other than like maybe Machu Picchu, you know, the pyramids in Mexico. I thought that was all there was. I didn't know that there was
That's
Cahokia
all they
Mound.
need you to know. That's all they
Right.
need you to know. Yeah.
Right. And I visited several mounds since then. So I'm trying to mound hop. I haven't hopped to all of them yet because there's so many, but and many of them are
Yeah.
still preserved. You know, a lot of them have been ruined, and then some of them are hidden in plain sight. Like you may drive by it every day and not know that that's
Yep.
what it is. Or there's
Yep.
a golf course on top of it, or some,
Yep.
a church on top of it, whatever. But um that sparked my curiosity and my interest. Like, why weren't we taught this in school? Why didn't we learn about this in history class? Why was there no mention of it, and still isn't? Because a lot of people have no idea that these exist, that they're right here in the States. They think that any ancient monuments they want to see, or the ancient world, is overseas somewhere,
Yeah.
or in
It's the
Peru,
new
or
world. We're in the new world
in the
here.
new world. Right, right.
Yeah. 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 I did that. You talk about mound hopping. We did that from February to April. Maybe with like a week or two in between. My
Mm-hmm.
wife and I and a couple friends as well. We just got in the car. I live here in Tampa. We just got in
Mm-hmm.
the car, drove from Tampa to where'd we start off at? I'm not sure where we started at, but
Well,
we went
Florida has
to
many.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I went to a bunch in Florida already, but we wanted to go to other ones. Like I've been to Crystal Springs. I've been to a bunch of sites in Florida, just in
Mm-hmm.
general. Besides even mounds, a bunch of indigenous sites
Mm-hmm.
and star forts and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
we went to what really caught my mind was the state of Tennessee. Mind blowing when it comes to mounds and just indigenous artwork and
Tennessee. Okay.
structures. Yeah, Tennessee is amazing from Rock City Garden in Chattanooga to you know Pigeon Forge had a lot of stuff. You go to Nashville, it was nothing but indigenous artwork and indigenous structures and just remnants of the old world and stuff that we built a long time ago and was taken
Mm.
over and repurposed. A lot of people don't know, like how you said, in school we were only taught about the Giza pyramids
Yes.
In Egypt. We were taught about very minimal about the Chichen Itza
Right.
pyramids in the Yucatan, Mexico. Some people learned about Teotihuacan on the west side of Mexico, and not too many more pyramids after that. But
Mm-hmm.
I've told a few people this. Uh, Pyramid is not able. It's not allowed to be said on the archaeological record in America. So if you find
Oh,
something, yeah, that's why they call them mounds. They
that's
struck
why they
that
call them
word.
males. Okay.
Yeah, they struck that word from the record. For anything that looks like a pyramid in America, you have to call it a mound,
Mm-hmm.
which is absurd in itself, and it tells a lot about what's going on.
It
But
obscures its real purpose when you hear mound. Because when I think
absolutely,
mound, I'm thinking a burial mound. But why don't they
absolutely.
call them burial chambers instead of bury? Right. You make a good
They're
point.
not all burial mounds too, though. That's
Mm-hmm.
one thing. Like I used to think they were all burial mounds. Like people think pyramids are just like tombs and
Mm-mm.
burial places and sacred, but they're merkabas also. They're places of energy. They're places
Yes.
that are aligned with celestial things in the sky. They're aligned with constellations. They're aligned with a whole bunch of stuff sacredly, geometrically,
Mm-hmm.
and it was used for a bunch of different reasons more than just mounds, and that's another layer of confusion that they added on top. They just try to say that they're burial mounds
Mhm.
And that one of the best reasons to say that is, they're not going to dig up grave sites. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
most of the time they'll leave grave, or at least they'll tell you to leave grave sites. There's millions of grave sites dug up of our indigenous people all over this place. But
Mhm.
all of this, North America has the most pyramids. Like take Mound out of there. We have the most pyramids in this place, period. Because like I said in the beginning, this is
Mm.
where Egypt and all of it got its complete idea of the path that they wanted to take spiritually and structurally and architecturally and everything.
Mhm.
So, it all comes from here, North America, which was called a bunch of different things. You could call it a Mexum. Some people will say Africa was called a Mexum. Again, Africa was a parts of Africa. People act like Africa is one country sometimes, but
Yeah.
parts of Africa was remnants of what was here as well. And it was called Top Mary. It was called a bunch of different things. It had a bunch of different names at certain times. People say Atlantis,
Mhm.
which I don't agree with. Atlantis to me was something completely else. It was close to here, but I don't think that this was just Atlantis. And Lemuria wasn't here as well.
You said
From what
Lemuria was not here.
was not just North America. You know what I'm saying? Lemuria was more towards like the islands of Hawaii and Fiji and all that stuff are mountaintops of the remnants of Lemuria. There was a whole nother place that was in the Pacific, from what I know.
Okay.
Yeah. But all of that stuff gets intertwined and there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation, you know. I say, don't believe me, go find it yourself.
Mhm.
I just put out what I find out, what I
Mhm.
find out to be true. I put out. So yeah, America has the most pyramids, and I go out finding them all the time. Like I've been to hundreds of them, hundreds of mounds. I grew up in a town called Montclair, New Jersey, and the weird part is I never really realized that we grew up in a town that we have like four huge mounds in our town.
Oh,
One
really? In
being
Montclair?
in Montclair, New Jersey. Yeah, and Montclair is it's a town maybe 25, 30 minutes outside of New York City.
I've heard
Um,
of it.
yeah, it's very there's a lot of alumni that come out of Montclair, a lot of athletes, artists, singers, actors. You got Buzz Aldrin that came out of Montclair. You got a bunch of people that came out of Montclair. Something was in the water at that time. If you go to Montclair now, I didn't realize it growing up. There's a page on Instagram.
Mhm.
His name is Origin Indigenous, and he goes around pointing out our old stonework and certain works that we did that's still standing. And he's one of my favorite pages. He happens to go to the town that I grew up in, and it didn't even register as I was growing up that I was around such ancient buildings. But there's mounds scattered all through that land where I grew up, and they're everywhere. And not only just mounds too.
Hmm.
There's pyramids. Did you get to see the video where I was at a dog park in Atlanta and I found that pyramid and like it's a dog park built on top of a pyramid. I'll send you the video
Yeah, send it to me because I'm
once.
not sure if I saw that one. I've seen some interesting structures in other cities that now that I know what I'm looking for,
Yeah, you
you'll
can't
see
unsee it.
sometimes rocks that are one time I went hiking somewhere and we were walking along a river and the river was shallow, but then it led to a waterfall. And before it got there, the rocks took on a different look. And I told
Yeah,
the people I was walking with, I said, these rocks look like boulders. They look man made. You see, they have right angles and
yeah.
they were crumbled all over the place. And then some of them had paint on them.
Like laser cut perfect angles, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
didn't look like
yeah,
because river rock. I've done a lot of hiking. River rocks
yep,
have smooth surfaces. These bolt they were strewn all over the place, like it was in ruins, like something happened.
yep,
And a lot of them look like boulders and like big cubes, and like I said, right angles. Some of them had paint on it, and
yeah,
then when we got to one area, it looked like the rocks looked like there was a rock formation, like an outcropping. And I said, could this be ruins of a bridge that fell, like an ancient bridge or something?
yeah.
How everything was positioned, and then I've heard the name is given. You said I'm gonna have to look up Montclair, New Jersey, because
Montclair, Montclair, New Jersey. A lot of
Montclair,
history there. Yeah,
there's a lot of
a
history
lot.
there. And
A
you say
lot of
you
history
discovered
there.
mounds there. Are they in a park, like a national park, or they just
No, no,
in?
no. They're just there's so there's one at the high school I went to. First of all, the high school I went to is it's so old, and I never realized how old it was until that guy on Instagram posted it. And this was recently. I'm like, holy shit! Oh, excuse my language. I was like, oh
Mhm,
my god, I can't believe the whole time I went to this high school. I grew up in this town from maybe the age of 5 until I was maybe 20, and I never realized that it had such old buildings. The amphitheater is all old stonework, but the
mhm.
mounds are attached to the high school on the way to the football field at the high school. And then there's another park in Montclair called Canterbury Park that have two mounds in it, two huge mounds.
Mm.
And they're everywhere though. I see them. That's one thing I noticed everywhere in Tennessee. Mounds were everywhere, every single place, every town I went into in Tennessee. Like you said, they would have stuff built on top of a mound.
Yeah.
In Nashville, the state capital is built on top of a double layered mound. And then
Oh,
it looks like Washington D.C. with the Washington Monument, how it has the lawn and the long pond.
the
The
pond.
long
Mhm.
pond that leads up to the Washington Monument.
Yes.
Nashville State Capitol building looks just like that, but it's built on top of a double layered mound as well, which most pyramids have like an obelisk or a phallus, they call it, in the middle of it anyway. That's in
Mhm.
that dog park video I found too. The pyramid in the dog park, there's a tree right in the middle as the phallus, which is what not how they were built, but that's what they
Mhm.
put there after as like a smack in the face towards the indigenous who
Mm.
built it. They would always put something right in the middle of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So my other question was going to be, at what point did you begin to question the narratives? But I think you kind of answered that with the books, the books that you were exposed to when you were younger. So that kind of like
Yeah, between
led you in
the
the
books in high
discovery.
school, the books in high school in general, just something in high school just told me all of it was nonsense, all of it. And I always had really good test scores. I always had really bad grades because I would just didn't get along with my teachers. I was always that kid, trying to debate the teacher, and they
Hmm.
hated it. So I didn't even finish high school. I left high school after 10th grade,
Hmm.
and just basically taught myself everything because anything I learned in school anyway, none of it is of value, from math to English to any of it. It's all spells and
Hmm.
counterproductive to the soul.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually most of the time I got really good grades in school and was an honor roll student, but um I didn't like the school system, and a lot of the schools I grew up in was just you come in the classroom, open a book, and almost all the teachers did the same thing. Open a book, do your work, finish that, here's something else to do. There wasn't this mind stimulation that I
Yeah.
was craving, and so I read books a lot, and so books were like my escape.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that
I
that
think.
was that propelled me to, like, that's why I've always, a lot of people, one thing I've always tried to do with the content that I create. There was a point where I would just copy and paste. Like, I was find a cool video, I would
Mhm.
screen record it and then post it, put my logo on it, post it. I would always try to find stuff that people never really heard of. So that was the one thing that was different, but it wasn't my work. Um, I started, in my mind, I'm like, I need to get my boots on the ground and see it for myself, compared to what we're told, compared to, you could look through Instagram, TikTok, YouTube all day, but if you're seeing it for yourself, it paints a whole nother picture for you. So that's when I really started, like, trying to create a whole bunch of different things, going to these places myself and seeing it for myself and touching
Mhm.
it and feeling the energy there. And they can't lie to me. Once I'm there, I don't, if I go somewhere and they have like a tour guide or a tour place or a guest place, I don't even go into it because I don't even want to hear their narrative. It's
Right.
funny to hear their narrative sometimes, just to see the angle that they take, but I can go there and paint the whole picture myself with a little bit of research that I might do before I went there,
Hmm.
with sources that I'm more trustworthy of, instead of like a tour guide at some
Hmm.
national park or some site that's set up by the state that's just going to tell me a bunch of irrelevant stuff.
A narrative, right? Like you said, it's a narrative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that a good example of that. I was in Savannah at the Savannah, the cemetery in Savannah, one of the creepiest places I've ever been in because
Mm.
it's all um, remnants of obelisks with like the handshake of the Freemasons. They have that symbol on a bunch of the obelisks and the tombs. They have the compass and the square Freemason symbol and everything, but all of them had a grave of a kid that died. Um,
I did see that one, and a little, like a little lamb
a
on the
lamb, a
tombstone.
sacrificial lamb. You saw that video I made, yeah. So they
Yes,
all
that
had
was
a sacrificial
disturbing.
lamb, but you got to hear the tour guide's excuse of it. And some like I saw a pregnant angel inside that cemetery, and I said it to my wife, and some lady on the tour said, "Hey, that guy said that's a pregnant angel." Just the reasoning that they give some of these people on what is what and what they said of that place. It was good to hear. That's the only time I might take a tour guide, just to hear the BS rhetoric that they're feeding us
Hmm.
compared to what I already know about that place. I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was real comical. The excuses and the answers that he gave her for what she heard me say.
Hmm.
But that place right there, real creepy place, Savannah,
It's
Georgia.
Savannah,
Holy
Georgia.
moly, holy moly! The whole city is creepy. It's all
Yes, certain
Freemason.
cities do have creepy energy.
Yeah, that it's all Freemason buildings there, repurposed of our buildings. They took over all of
Oh,
our stuff
okay.
and repurposed it, and they put all their symbols on it, their cornerstones. That's why buildings say founded on
Hmm.
their cornerstones instead of erected or built. They say
Right.
founded because they found our buildings and repurposed them. And
They
Savannah's a
founded them and
huge,
repurposed them.
yeah, it's
Okay.
a huge clue of it. That's
Yeah,
that
I
city
noticed
right
a
there.
lot of older buildings. It'll be a stone on the outside, like you
Yeah,
said, a cornerstone.
cornerstone.
It will say that.
Yep,
Um,
founded.
yeah. Now, out
They
of all
found it.
the cities the mile hopping you did, you said Tennessee was impressive. What
Yeah.
other ones you find like really fascinating or interesting?
The Etowah Mounds in Georgia was amazing. I love the Etowah Mounds. Are
Okay,
you
I gotta
familiar with
check
the
them
Etowah
out.
Mounds?
I've been to Ocmulgee, which is in Macon, Georgia. That's like central Georgia. I haven't been to Etowah yet. Georgia
Yeah.
has a lot.
Yeah, Georgia does have a lot. Etowah, I think, is the biggest ones in Georgia. Um, don't quote me on that, but I think they are.
Hmm.
They're enormous. And then there's another one in another huge one. I think it's the biggest one in the east that I went to in Tennessee. It's called Saul's Mound. Saul's Mound was amazing. It's
Saul's.
huge. Yeah, it's the
I
largest
wondered
one
if
in
it's
the
named
east.
after Saul in the Bible. Why did it have that name?
I don't know. Somebody just asked me that recently, and I didn't even
Okay.
have an answer for them. I didn't do the research on why they called it Saul.
Saul's
Um,
Mountain. Okay.
yeah. Again, I don't read a lot, like I don't read like the boards. I did read the board when they were talking about what they built, what they said they built it with, but I didn't read who Saul was and all that. None
Mm-hmm.
all that's irrelevant to me.
Mm.
Yeah, Saul to me, Saul might have been like, it was either a name like Saul. It was probably one of the invaders that came and helped
Mm-hmm.
capitalize on that place. Yeah, I'm
Interesting.
just I'm just making that up. I'm just saying, like in general,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't read those signs because it's all
Have
BS.
you have you visited any of the what they call effigy mounds, like the ones at Poverty Point or the Serpent Mound in Ohio or any of the ones?
No, I'm supposed to go to a retreat in September at the Serpent Mounds in Ohio.
Okay.
This woman is throwing a retreat that's she brings us through the mounds. I trust her. Like she's not like a tour guide. She's on to the same type of information that we are. So she does like retreats at the mound and she brings you to the springs there. She said there's some really amazing natural springs right outside the mound.
I never heard that part. Okay.
Yeah, I never heard that either. So I'm gonna go check it out and see what it's about in September.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was supposed to go to an equinox ceremony there some several years ago, and the trip was canceled kind of the last minute. But I have not been to any of the sites in Ohio yet, but I really want to go. I want to explore some more in the south, like Etowah, and go back to the Ocmulgee ones, and then some along the way. But Ohio, I think it's somewhere in Ohio. There was something named Miami, like a city named Miami, or
Yeah, there's a
a
Miami,
tribe
Ohio.
was there called
Yeah,
Miami.
yeah. Yep, definitely. Yeah, it's an indigenous tribe
Hmm.
from that area. That whole area I didn't get to explore the I don't even know what you call that, the Midwest or the I don't know. I didn't get
North,
to
yeah, North Midwest, I guess.
I'm from Jersey, but I didn't get to go like towards like Ohio and Illinois and Wisconsin, Michigan. I didn't get to do those states
In
yet.
Indiana, yeah, there's a lot of history
Yeah,
in those,
I've
all
been
those
through
states.
there. I've been through those states, but not on the same mission that I'm on now.
Hmm.
It was just different times in life. I've been through probably all those states at one point, but
Hmm.
now like you said, you go to these places and you see them. Like when you were talking about the rocks, you can't unsee it. So now I
Hmm.
go everywhere I go, I see something, some remnant of a cover up
Hmm.
of what used to be. You can't
Okay.
unsee it. It's everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It really is.
yeah.
Um, Many ancient civilizations have risen and fell, and Atlantis is one of the more popular ones. Can you share with us what you know about Atlantis? Because many people say that the Americas, or in particular North America, Turtle Island or whatever you want to call it, was
Where's Atlantis?
part of
Yeah,
Atlantis, if not
yeah.
Atlantis itself. The whole. I
Mm,
always thought of it as a global. Well, some people say it was an island, but
yeah,
my understanding is it was a global civilization. But I'm still learning something new every day. So.
yeah. I'm still learning about Atlantis as well, but what I know of Atlantis was a lot of people have a lot of reverence for Atlantis. A lot of people
Mhm,
have a lot of good stuff and good memories or good stories to tell about Atlantis. What I know of Atlantis, Atlantis was a place where they taught magic at. Atlantis was a place where they did a lot of alchemy and I mean like in a bad way.
mhm,
Um, Atlantis was a place that a lot of things that have us in the position that we're in now, like a lot of the technology that is used against us now, it comes from that Atlantean era, made for those same reasons. So when I'm asked about Atlantis, I don't know enough about Atlantis to give like too much more than Atlantis was like a real it was a real mystical place that got destroyed. And
mm,
people hear this other story because look who we get our story about Atlantis from. Like
mhm,
if you look at the information we're into, and then you look at the mainstream narrative of what things are told, when it comes to Atlantis, they match. You know what I'm saying? Like to
mm,
me, it's a weird thing. So I'm still trying to get more in depth with Atlantis itself because there's Atlantis, there's Lemuria, there's Hyperborea, there's a whole bunch of different places that we were never taught about, and
mhm,
everyone gets stuck on just Atlantis. But I don't know too many good things about Atlantis,
mhm,
and again, like you said, people think it was part of America. I think from what I found out, I think that it wasn't. I think they occupied a part of America,
mhm,
but I don't think like the lower, like where Florida is, Georgia, and I think a lot of that had to do with Atlantis, but I don't think America itself was Atlantis. And
okay,
I could very well be wrong, but like I said, the more I learned, there was one point I did feel all of that about Atlantis. That's the crazy part. And the more and when I say I did feel that way, I mean like the mainstream narrative of how everyone looks at Atlantis as being our old home. But the more I learn, I find out I know nothing. Like, I learned different things about topics I swore was in stone, you know, every few weeks.
mhm,
You just got to keep digging. There's always
mhm,
some stone you didn't unturn. Yeah,
okay.
Atlantis never sat well with me though. I don't know why.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, why? It's
Mhm,
just from everything I learned from it. I just, if you take away the mainstream narrative of what I've learned, the rest of what I've learned about it has not been, and that's on my own research. It hasn't been that great.
mhm, okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Lemuria, I say different wise. If you want
Oh,
to talk
really?
about
Why?
another, yeah, Lemuria was to me. Lemuria was more of a place of the same type of indigenous people as us, the same type of like if you could even look at the artwork and the so-called like structures that they try to show you from Atlantis. It don't even look like what we call our indigenous work now that's here. It looks like
Hmm.
something. It looks like something else to me. It looks kind of like there's an Arabian style to it with some kind of mystical crystal style. Atlantis looks weird, but Lemuria looks more like it had more of our touchings to it, more of our architecture, more of our consciousness to it.
Okay.
It looks like it had more of a connection to us than Atlantis did. Atlantis doesn't seem like it was home to
Where
me.
where do you see this? You said it looks more like a connection with, like, where do you see representations of Lemuria
Lemuria has a bunch of, so now if you go through like where those islands are that I said,
in the
um,
Pacific?
in the Pacific, yeah. So a lot of their culture has a lot of like the indigenous culture that matches here. But if you're talking about like their structures and the architecture, that's like all on the west coast of like the Peru and um Peru and Chile and
Bolivia. Okay.
Argentina. Yeah, all of those countries over there have a lot of remnants of it. Like I said, it was another landmass that was to the side of those, of South America there, but it had a lot of remnants that touched there. The rest of Lemuria is gone, so it's hard to give, examples, but of scripture and of certain books that talk about Lemuria, it just seemed like it had more of a connection to our people and us
Mm,
than Atlantis ever did. Atlantis always seemed like it just wasn't our people to
mm,
me. Yeah,
okay.
that's what it always felt like to me.
Okay. Um, One thing about the Americas is there has been several catastrophic events in the past, and some not too long ago. Like the research and the things I've been learning in the last few years, the 1800s, there was a lot of upheaval, earthquakes,
Yeah,
and flooding and things. And also, let the legendary the Great Flood and major
yeah,
earthquakes, mud floods.
yeah,
There were fires in a lot of major cities in the U.S. And there's also, talk about the alleged pole shifts, which I think, has happened and is happening. Um, why do you think a lot of these things are regarded as myth despite evidence to the contrary that they actually took place?
well, there's a lot of evidence. Like, you familiar with the Carrington event and stuff like that?
Carrington, no, that's a new
Yeah,
term. What that
yeah,
thing?
the Carrington event it's just one of them, but it's there's a lot of events that show you some type of electromagnetic event happen. Some people call it the X Factor event, some people call it the Phoenix event, but there's some type of electromagnetic event that happens every 300 to 250 years, and it completely annihilates almost everything in the realm. There's liquefaction that happens. Like people say, there's mud floods. When they say mud floods, I don't see mud floods as being like mud that was just falling everywhere from
Hmm. Like a
watered
mud
down mud.
volcano.
Yeah, I think you and I might have been talking about this before with liquefaction. Liquefaction is
Mhm.
from a resonance. It's from a sound frequency that
A
shakes the
frequency.
ground up. Yeah, they have there's some type of resonance you could do, some type of frequency you could do that can shake the ground and make it like a liquid. And you can still feel the ground and it feels like a solid, but the ground will be shaking like it's completely liquid. That's the mud flood that happened that
Oh,
completely,
okay. So it was a liquefaction.
it
Okay.
was it's called liquefaction. It's
Liquefaction.
when the frequency, it completely devastates the
Okay.
soil and
Because I
makes it
thought
like in a
mud
liquid
flood was
fashion.
like a mud slide, the same.
Yeah, that's, there's there's debate about it. There's debate about it, but there's a lot of proof of liquefaction because they've even have instruments that could produce it now that could show you
Hmm.
like an example of liquefaction where they can make the ground like a liquid. But if you touch it, like I said, if you touch it, even while they're making it liquid, it feels solid.
Mm.
It just has the everything inside, all the cells of everything is just completely it's shaking
It's
so
changing the
hard.
molecular structure.
Yeah, the
Oh,
structure of it,
wow.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
so that happened, and it supposedly happens every few, like I said, 300 to 250 years, and it's mixed in with the liquefaction. They say also caused a bunch of meltdowns and fires, and me personally, I think we live in a dielectric plane of inertia, some type of supercomputer. Not always. I don't think we come from that. I think we were captured at some point, and AI found a way to manipulate our consciousness and put us into some type of computer video game.
Mm.
And
A
that's
false
what,
matrix. Yeah.
yeah, and that's what malfunctions to me every few hundred years. And
Mm.
there's nothing but proof of it everywhere between the liquefaction and everything looks like it's fried like a circuit board. If you can
Yes,
go through
there's
the
a lot
old
of
world.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of evidence. You could go
a
through the
lot of
so-called
evidence
old
around the
world.
world actually of
Yep,
something burning things up at a high temperature.
yep.
Yeah.
At a high temperature and completely melted almost everything. There's nothing but proof, but they'll tell you every other story under the sun that happened just to make sure that you don't come to that fruition of our where we really live, what we really live inside of.
Mm-hmm.
They need you to think you're spinning on a globe with all their numerical numbers that add up to everything. Like, do you know all the mathematics of the globe theory of what we live on, like how it's spinning at a certain amount of speed, and it's crazy. It's all numerology. It's all Freemason numbers, and I'm not a flat earther either. I'm not trying to say that I'm
Okay.
some flat earth guy. I sincerely believe that we live in a simulation. Not even believe it. I know it from everything that I've gotten into over the last few years, the information I've been able to get my eyes on, the things that I've been through, just myself. That's where Gnostic comes from knowing, from knowing that something is real instead of just believing it. You know, so I believe that those people who believe things are, they're just stuck in a warp zone. They don't need you to see anything of who you really are or where you really come from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's where it's at. That's all of my content in a
Mm-hmm.
nutshell. I've been at this and I'm gonna stay at it. I've had a bunch of weird situations happen to me to let me know that I'm on the right path.
Mm.
So, I'm gonna stay at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing I know you shared on your Instagram page is a lot of the hidden ancient pyramids and megalithic structures around the U.S. Um, why do you think these places are still being kept secret? Because they are, I'm sure they've studied them, at some point, but they're archaeological wonders, and a lot of these places are being kept secret, and they're called rock formations or natural formations. For example, I was watching somebody posted a clip from a movie um, that took place in the Badlands in Dakota, I think it's South Dakota, and
Hmm.
this it was a story about a young native girl who runs away from boarding school, and she ran away, I guess at night, and so she finds herself on this rock formation, and so a man finds her, with his sheep and all that, and they start talking, and I said, wait a minute, those are not rocks. When you
No.
look at them, you see they're actual brick, like you can see the brick formation and is in ruins. And
Yeah.
some of
Not.
these so-called rock formations that you see around the country, when you look at them, you can see where the blocks fit in together
Yeah.
like brick masonry. I mean, it looks like they stack bricks or blocks together, but they are calling it a rock formation.
Yeah. Yeah. Just driving through the highway. You ever notice? I like to do this a lot too. I drive just on any highway that's in like a mountain type of terrain. Just pull your camera out and just film the side of the highways itself that they cut through,
Mm-hmm.
Most of the times when you see those so-called rock formations that look like a pyramid or look like some type of structure, a lot of times they have some type of Egyptian street names around them as well. Have you ever
Oh,
seen
I'm gonna
the
start
West
paying attention
Virginia?
to that.
You ever see the West Virginia pyramid that I put up in Man, West Virginia?
No, I did not.
So there's these pyramids in West Virginia. If you're on, I think it's I-1 in West Virginia, or maybe it's 55, but it's in Man, West Virginia. If you're on the main road there, which is called Isis Way, there's these huge pyramids stacked next to each other, and they say that about all the pyramids, every rock structure that looks like a pyramid on a highway, their excuse for all of them is that's the shape that comes out when they cut through the highway with the machines that they use. It coincidentally leaves these pyramid looking shapes.
Okay. So
So you
they're
have it in,
acknowledging that they're cutting through these ancient structures because I have noticed,
they
especially
say they're cutting through mountain. They say they're cutting through mountain.
right.
Yeah,
But when you look at it, some of the mountains they cut through, you see what looks like and appears to be blocks stacked together.
100%. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
from, you could see them in Man, West Virginia. You could see them in Las Vegas, Nevada has probably the largest pyramid that I know of in America.
Las
Besides
Vegas.
the one Las Vegas. Yeah, it's in Henderson, Nevada, which is right outside Las Vegas. There's a gentleman who does a lot of archaeological work in that area, and he found this pyramid, and he did like this whole 2 hour long walk up the pyramid. And in his
Oh, it's
video, I took his video and I posted it on my page. You know, I added music to it and I sped it up a little bit, but I also pointed out things that he missed while he was walking up that he didn't mention. Like there's a huge Olmec head at the bottom of the pyramid. And when I say huge, like an Olmec head that's like 20 feet high, it's like 10 feet wide. It's a
mm.
huge Olmec head. And he didn't mention it in
Yeah,
the
I've never
video at
seen any
once.
outside of the Yucatan. That's interesting. And it's in
And
Nevada.
Henderson, Nevada, someone tagged him from my YouTube page. Someone tagged him and he even went back onto his page saying that he did miss that. And he gave me a personal invite out to that pyramid. He
Hmm.
said all paid for. I didn't take it because he seemed a little sketchy to me.
Hmm.
But he
But it's in
offered me a.
Nevada.
It's in Henderson, Nevada. Yeah, it's the largest pyramid that I've seen in North America. Out of I've seen
Mm.
maybe I've seen maybe about in person I've seen maybe 25. In total I've seen maybe 75 pyramids in America. That's
Mm.
the largest one that I've seen.
Mm.
Yeah, it's absolutely enormous.
Wonder what was in the Southwest because I've been to I haven't been in Nevada. I've been as far west as Arizona, which is a very interesting state.
Yeah,
It I used to say it seemed like you in more than one country within a few hours because like if you
yeah,
start out in Phoenix, if you drive about an hour and you in Sedona, it looks totally different,
yeah,
different energy and everything. And then if you go another hour or so in Flagstaff, it looks like the mountains in Virginia or something.
yeah,
And then you keep going north and you end up at the Grand Canyon. You like, wait a minute, this looks like a whole different
yeah. That's another
state
place too.
country.
Another place, part of me that
No, it's
I was
fine.
saying how Atlantis was a place where they taught energy and alchemy and all types. They to me they taught the dark arts in Atlantis. In
Probably.
the Grand Canyon is where they taught the reverse of that, the opposite. It's where that was like where we went to like mystical schools there, and they
In the
taught
Grand Canyon.
in the Grand Canyon, like in just in that area, because there's all nothing but pyramids, temples, and remnants of
Hmm.
huge, structures, megalithic structures. There's
Hmm.
everything in there, roads, cities, everything you can name is in the Grand Canyon. But that place also got completely melted out.
Okay,
You know,
because I've only been to the touristy part. Like when you first arrive, there's the platform where you can see. I didn't actually go and explore. I've heard, I've seen the article that was published years ago. The man that saw the, went in the
yeah,
cave. I
G.E.
think his last name
Kincaid.
was Kincaid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
G.E.
Um,
Kincaid.
so I've just always wondered, has anybody verified? Has anybody ever been exploring down in there to actually see something anomalous?
Yeah, there's so either through like I don't know where, like people always ask me, where do you get your videos from or your information from? There's a whole bunch of different
Yeah, they're
forums and
nice.
platforms you can go to, but you can't use the regular Google and stuff like that if you really want to find stuff like that. The dark web has a bunch of videos of like drones going through there, and even on the regular web, like I said, you just have to find different outlets and forums to get there.
Hmm.
um, there's different places where you can find videos of drones or just crazy ass people that just went through there filming, that weren't supposed to be in there, that were risking their lives going in there, and they put up some really cool stuff. Some
I
of
would
it's on
like
my
to see that
page.
because I know there's a mountain there that
Yeah.
they named Isis Temple or something.
Oh yeah, there's like 15 of them. There's Shiva Temple, there's Isis Temple,
Yeah,
there's
so it's like out of all the names they could have chosen, why did they
yeah,
choose those names if it's
yeah,
has no,
yeah,
if they're just rock formations, as they say.
yeah. Look up how many Egyptian so-called Egyptian names that we know from Egypt are town names in America. It's the list is crazy. There's so many names like Cairo, like Memphis, like so many
Hmm.
different names that are Egyptian
Alexandria.
names. Yeah, yeah. There's
Hmm.
the list goes on. There's a bunch of them, and they're
Yep.
all Egyptian names, but they're here, and all the Egyptian symbols that's on the money, and
On
it's
the
a
different
cover up.
flags and
It,
seals in different states. Some
yeah,
state flags and seals have somebody was driving the other day and I saw it at the gas station when I pulled up. They had their country's seal on the front of the car and the license plate, and it was like a double-headed, it was a phoenix, a red phoenix rising out of something, and I'm like, wow, this is,
yeah, yeah. Wait, which one is that?
mhm.
I feel like I've seen that before. The double phoenix. I
Yeah, it
think
was
I
a
saw it.
red phoenix in
Yep.
between two white horses. I think it
Yeah.
was Nigeria's seal.
Okay.
But if
Yeah,
you
I feel
look
like
at
I've seen
state
that.
seals,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. State seals. Oh man,
then
state
you
seals.
see a lot of
They,
interesting
they
things
show
that
you. They
nobody
show
ever
you what
talks
they did to
about.
us. This all the state seals and say like precinct, police precinct seals.
Mm-hmm.
All of them show what they did to indigenous people. They all show it.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check
They
out the
show.
police precinct ones.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially go to New York City. Look at all their precinct symbols and icons or logos over their doors. It's all like, weird stuff of indigenous capturing. You ever seen the statue of the four Moors in Italy?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's an
I
interesting one
probably
too.
seen it, but didn't know where it was.
Yeah, it's a statue of it looks like four melanated uh Native Americans. I think they might even call them I forgot what
Oh,
I
I
know it's
think
called.
they're four with their backs to each other.
Yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen that. I think
They're facing north, south, east, and
East and
west.
West. I think I've seen them.
Yeah, yeah. It's a real like, but you could tell that they're not the mainstream narrative of what Native American is.
Mm-hmm.
Native American, they always showed us was like those Siberian looking people with the wider faces and stuff, not showing us
Mm-hmm.
that it was,
Yeah, because
the
I grew up
so-called black people.
right. I grew up in Virginia, and so a lot of times, um, what they call them, like those country markets or places on like certain places along the highway, they would have these statues which were considered antique called tobacco Indian statues. I don't know if you ever
Hmm.
seen them.
No.
um they sell them at auctions now. They're like, people pay a lot of money for them, but
Yeah.
they have them. I used to see them a lot when I was growing up at country stores, and sometimes they have it right by the front door, um, almost like it's guarding the door when you go in, or it'll be by the cash register.
Yeah.
And
I never
some of
saw that.
them they're anywhere from 3 to 6 feet in height, and they're carved, and they call them tobacco Indian statues, and sometimes they're
Oh,
standing there
yes, I
holding
have.
tobacco
Yeah, 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 yeah.
or
I know
holding
exactly. And
corn.
they're always near the door. Like you just said, they're
Yes,
always near the
and they were
door. I know
always
exactly what you're talking about.
very dark. very dark, and then sometimes they're
Yeah.
holding corn, or it's usually
Yeah,
tobacco, or they're holding
you know
something.
what I noticed? But they don't
But
have that up north where I grew up. I noticed that when I moved down here to Tampa.
you
Down the
see it in
south,
Florida.
in Florida, you see it. I've seen it like just traveling the South now, because since I moved down here, I've been traveling the South a lot. Georgia, Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. You see it in those states a lot, but you don't see it up New York, New Jersey. I do remember one store in New Jersey that had it, and it was a cigar shop.
Mm.
It was like a smoke shop with
Hmm.
this old guy when I was a kid, and they had the huge Indian, the huge Native American dude in there. I do remember that.
Yeah. Well, in Virginia, I used to see them a lot. I saw so much so that I didn't pay attention to them because I saw it a lot. And
Yeah,
um, North Carolina too, I think. And I think I've seen them in some other states, like on road trips. But they will often be holding tobacco,
yeah.
or
Said
corn, or
corn. Yeah.
sometime like a weapon, like a
Okay.
tomahawk or something like that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. My
Mm.
family from North Carolina. I just found that out recently. I got
Oh,
to get
nice.
over it. They're from Rocky Mount, North Carolina. I got to go check that place out.
Oh, I know what that is. That is right across the border from
Got to
Virginia.
check that out. Yeah.
Hmm.
They said
Um,
it's in the mountains or
Hollywood,
something.
Saponi, a lot of them are not too far from there.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta check it out. I never been at. We always thought we were just from New Jersey.
Well, a lot of people from Jersey and other states up north, you know, a lot of families moved up there in their Great Migration.
Yeah.
Not all families, but a lot, came from the Carolinas or further south.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and my that's my father's side. My mother's side is Norwegian. My mother is blonde hair, blue eyed,
Hmm.
super Norwegian. She looked like Shirley Temple.
Oh, okay, Norwegian. Okay,
Yeah,
interesting. All right.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Do you think that knowing your history is healing? How has it impacted your sense of self and others?
Well, just the simple answer for that is when I wasn't tapping into, you know, knowledge itself, when I wasn't tapping into where we truly are, when I wasn't tapping into, the path that I need to go on, I was filled with all the other stuff, the stuff that they need you to be filled with, the food that they need you to be filled with, the music, the movies. I feel like as soon as I started to dig in, and it took me to I went through a drug addiction for a long time. It took me to come out of the drug addiction to really try to find self and really try to
Hmm.
master this lifetime that I'm in right now. Because I had so much more in me from day one, and I grew up in a pretty rough environment that threw me into another path that I really wasn't supposed to be on. But again, that's
Hmm.
a part of the machine that we're in. It's to take
Yes.
the sentient people like us who are, we're people of compassion and love. It's supposed to confuse us and throw us into a whole different paradigm. And luckily, I was able to shake that off, and finding out who I am and where I am has changed my life dramatically. It's
Mm.
been able to give me the liberty to see things clearly, to be able to slow things down. Like I literally feel like I'm a glitch in the matrix. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Meditation had a lot to do with that. Eating right had a lot to do with that. Um, Good discernment of information in the information age that we're in has a lot to do with that, because there's so much out there. People can put anything online and everyone runs with it on social media. Social media is just like a just flip through and get so much information that nothing
Yes.
sticks. Nothing sticks. It's just way too much out there. So finding myself has been, it's been imperative. I've been able to pass that on to my family as well. Like I said, I have three boys. I've been able to pass that on to them, and my boys are pretty much in alignment with who they are. My wife has followed suit. She's on her whole health healing path, and she has a lot to do with healing people on a cellular level and getting them to a detoxification that they've been looking for. And, I feel like knowledge of self has really propelled all of that, being able to snap out of the
Yes.
average norm that everyone's in, listening to the same thing, speaking the same way as everybody,
Hmm.
posting the same thing everyone posts. It's all
Yeah.
regurgitated
That
BS.
group think.
Yeah, I've always tried to post stuff that you never heard about. That's always been like, before I
Hmm.
post something, I'm like, all right, has anybody, like, I'm sure some people have heard of it, but for the majority, I try to post stuff that most people never heard about ever in their life. So you
Hmm.
get an impression like, all right, there's some info here, because I don't want people to just. And that's the other thing too. Some of my stuff just goes over people's heads because it's not like right to the point and catchy, and
Hmm.
there's
It
a
makes
there's a
you think
story.
and
Yeah,
thought
there's a story.
provoking.
There's a story being told. There's a story being told for you to grab onto and
Hmm.
try to and try to feel it.
Are you feel like you channeling those messages? Because it seemed like it. Some of them.
Um, I want to say I used to do music. My brother said this to me recently, not long ago. I used to do a lot of music, and we were really close to cracking in the door to getting in the so-called music industry at one point. And I feel like I've kind of relayed what I used to do in music into what I'm doing now with
Mm.
videos. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
My brother told me recently he just watched one of my videos and he was like, "Bro, that sounded like one of your songs from back in the day." Not like it didn't sound like it, like I was saying the same thing, but he just said that he could hear it in the flow of what I was saying. Like I completely shifted that energy into this now.
Yeah, I can
So
see that. I think music. I think when people make music, it's a it's a spiritual. I want to say gift, for lack of a better term, and you are. It's coming from within. Like it's like kind of like channeling or just
yeah,
prophesying or something, if you will. Because I've seen people say that I went to sleep and then they woke up and the song came to them or melody came to them, and it's like they don't know where it comes from. It just comes from them.
yeah, no, you could definitely get into a groove sometimes, especially when it's really heartfelt and you're really, especially when you're really living. If you're living the information, it kind of flows a little bit easier because
Yes.
again, like I'm not a page that if you just want to see something for 30 seconds and then scroll on to the next, my page isn't the one. Like I have some stuff that's
Hmm.
going to make you really look like, oh my God.
Yeah, it
So
did that had that effect on me. I was like, wow, this is deep.
yeah, I appreciate that. And that's what I'm aiming for, to really spark
Hmm.
something within with people. Cause there's, the whole story has, none of the story has been told. Everything we know is a lie. And the more I find out, like I said, the more I learn, I don't know a damn thing, for real.
Hmm.
It's crazy. I know some stuff, but it's crazy what we think we know and what we hold on to. And then
Hmm.
when you go through your evolution in life and you realize like, oh my God,
And the more
it's
you
not what I
learn, the
thought.
more you know you didn't know.
Yeah, yeah. I've had a bunch of lifetimes just in the past 5 years. It's
Mm,
crazy. How I think now is not the way I think a year ago. You
mm.
know, it's still the same, foundation. I didn't just completely switch up, but a lot of it is, you shed that skin and you keep growing, you keep progressing. At least you
Yes,
try to. You try to.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a slippery road though. It's like I said, social media is a funny thing. And for the pyramids that I was talking about too, I just wanted to throw that out, that if you do like go to my Instagram for highlights, on somebody's page and they have highlights, all the little bubbles.
Hmm.
I have one of my highlights is called pyramids, and it has all of my pyramid videos. You can see everything
Okay, I'll
that I
check that out.
posted. Yeah, it has every pyramid, that not every, but it has most of them in there.
Hmm.
So you can see a bunch of cool stuff in there about the pyramids itself. Yeah,
Okay, okay. And can you share with the listening audience your Instagram and YouTube channels in case that so they can watch more?
yeah. My YouTube channel is Soul on Ice Perspectives. Um,
Okay.
my Instagram is soul on ice, but there's an underscore after each word. So it's soul underscore on underscore ice underscore. And then Telegram also, I have soul on ice with two underscores after.
Okay, and you said on IG is soul underscore on ice,
On
and it's underscore
underscore
after each word, right?
underscore after each word for Instagram. Yes. I've been through so many Instagram accounts. They've deleted me. I got deleted at probably, I think we're at like 89 or it's like 89 or 93,000 followers I've been deleted of over the
Oh
last
wow.
5 years. I'm surprised I've been able to get it back to where it's at now, but they used to get me a lot. Instagram wipe my whole account out.
Okay. Just
Yeah,
because of the
happened.
content.
Yeah, one time it was the content. Another time I just woke up, went on my Instagram one day, and it was gone. I never got no explanation. I emailed them, never got no response. It was just gone. It wasn't even hacked. It was just completely gone. They
Mm,
deleted everything. Yeah, so it's been a
mm,
uphill battle trying to get this out. And I don't do any of this for the money. Like I don't set up any subscriptions. I don't have any Patreons. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this, but it's information should be free when you're in the revolution.
hmm.
There's no reason why you should have to
Indeed. Yeah, I
pay
agree.
me. No need to fatten my pockets when I'm just
Mm,
trying to get you to wake up so we can do this together.
true. True.
You know
Indeed.
what I'm saying?
Indeed. Okay. Well, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so
Thank
much for sharing this time and information with us. We may have you again as a guest on this channel,
thank you for
and
having me. I would definitely be honored to be back.
I'll give thanks for that. Thank you so much. And
Definitely.
remember, family, we have inherited a lot of old habits and belief systems. So go easy on yourself. You are clearing away
Yeah.
thousands of years of outdated conditioning. And with
Yeah.
that, we end tonight's show. And we thank you so much again, Brother Jason, for joining
Thank
us.
you.
And
And Lakesh.
in Lakesh and don't go away
Absolutely.
yet, just yet. But peace and love,
Absolutely.
everyone, and prosperity. And have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. Peace and love, everybody.
Peace, peace.